innovations, challenges and opportunities. The topic of today's workshop is Evaluation and Measurement in Simulation Games. On behalf of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, I, Dr. Aditi Ved, welcome the resource persons for today's workshop. First is Elizabeth Tipton. She is a Professor Emeritus of Decision Sciences at Eastern Washington University, USA. Second is Elizabeth Lay. She is a Faculty of Biology at University of Technology, Sydney, Australia. Third is Birgit Zerm. She is Head of Center for Management Simulation, Stuttgart, Germany. Fourth is Marit Davis at Bouw University, Nijmegen, Netherlands. Fifth is Elena Likacheva, scientist at Lomonosov, Moscow State University, Russia. And last is Richard. He is a Professor Emeritus at Schiller College of Business at Georgia Institute of Technology, Atlanta. Sorry if I have pronounced any names wrong. I also thank all the participants, faculty and staff who are present here to attend this workshop. So now, without taking up any much more time, I hand over the session to our resource persons. Welcome, Rebecca.
Okay, Beth, it's over to you. So just everybody, we have been rehearsing, as I said, we raced down the corridor to get here. Marika unfortunately gives her apologies. This clashed with a school commitment that she could not change. So you will have to all consider us as mini Marikas, but she has more knowledge about this than any of us. So if you have questions we can't answer, we'll pass them all on to Marika. So this is on Marika's behalf from Elena, Beth, me and Dick, and Birgit also sends her apologies. So Elizabeth, over to you.
And I do apologize because, well, this got handed to me 4 days ago. So anyway, here we go. So let me find the slides here. And let me set this up on share to share my screen. And that is not what I intended for it to do. I apologize, as you can tell. I am my brain is, well, again, it is in the middle of the night here. I am not firing on all four. That is why it's attempting to go to my TV.
So we can
you
see.
can also make the left column really small, and then we see the slide big enough.
That might.
I'm just going to leave it where it is and run with it. I don't care at this point. I hope you all don't care either.
Yeah,
so,
you can make that bigger and the other one smaller.
I'm not going to even worry about it, Willie. You know that? So, evaluation and measurement in simulation games. It's us. So, with this, our invitation to you is we are all on learning journeys through life, and our team is about to play with our knowledge in a very large topic, evaluation and measurement in simulation games. And well, actually looking over the list of people here, actually do know quite a few of you, although there are quite a few that I don't know as well. So before we begin, we would like you all to please write down 2 ways in which you think that being here with us might help you on your own learning journey, and 1 question that you hope we can help answer for you. And now, we know that you don't need to share these with you unless you choose to, but we hope that you would choose to do so. So
And-
there is a
Link in the
Padlet.
chat. It's in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I've also pulled up so that you can see it.
Mhm.
And we hope that you would share those with us there.
So can I share my screen, Beth? And I'll put the Padlet up.
Yep. And if I have not, there
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 we
it
go.
is.
Now, we have assumed that not everybody has used Padlet. It is a very, very simple app. How to post your message, the instructions are there on the left-hand side. But easier than that, you go down to the plus at the bottom, you click, and it brings up a message. You type in whatever you want your heading to be here. And I can't even spell my name, so I'll do that. And then your message comes down here. So if I put, so I'm saying, I am Elizabeth in the heading, and I will now write, welcome to the workshop. Hope I spell it properly, and it spells it properly for me. And then you'll see that there's a button that says publish. You publish. I hit publish, and there's a message, and you can just move it around. Okay, so just take a few minutes, say who you are, what you'd like. Oh, somebody's got a draft, or is that a? Why is that?
Hi, David. Hi, Vinod.
Not moving?
Hi.
So put a comment, anything at all. The reason we're asking you to do this, it's a rehearsal. How to become the great evaluator. I love that. Because in a little while, we'd like you to use this for part of the process. So this is just a fun playing. I can see it on, I will stop sharing my screen because I can see everybody's working. So you should be able to work on your own screen.
Actually, would you pull that back up again?
Yeah, sure.
Chris? Because there is something I wanted to point out about it.
Yep. Okay, there it is.
You notice on the hello there, and even on the how to become a great evaluator, unless you actually put your name on it, it isn't marking down who
Yeah.
you are. So that if you want to just drop something in, but you don't really want to have to say, yeah, it's not unlike chat where it puts your name. Padlet doesn't put your name. So, that is, one thing that, if you're uncomfortable with, but you do have something that you want to throw out there and comment on, it is nice and that it does let you talk. So. Anyway.
Yep. Okay. Wow, somebody wants a lot from us. Evaluation in the whole gaming process, design, application, and on and on.
Oh, that's like a doctoral program.
Well, we'll give you a good beginning.
Yeah. And hi, Marcus.
Okay.
And yep.
Shall we go back to the slides now? And I'll
Yep.
stop sharing. Okay. So thank you for that. It's just a practice. We will be asking you to do it again.
So, when I received Marika's slides, and there was a whole bunch of stuff on the first slide. And so I realized it was a lot of stuff. And so I had to start kind of taking it apart to figure it out. And what I realized at first was what she had, really, I had to break it into, well, more than one slide to make sense of it. And so, well, the first bit broke down to this slide. And if you look down below.
Beth, you have to
That's
share it
it.
again.
Oh, of course, yeah. And yes, please, please, please remind me of these things because, like I already said, it is now 1:42 in the morning for me. My brain is not firing on all four at the moment. For those that may not know that phrase, it refers to vehicle engines. And so I have all of her notes down below, but I tend to think visually. So I started drawing pictures. So the first bit was, well, she was really talking about what we're measuring and evaluating in simulation games. And I realized that when we were talking, we have a tendency to talk about, well, what we want to measure and evaluate is the learning. But she had all these other things mentioned. And, what we actually measure, we don't just measure learning, we measure as she had included, ethical effects and facilitation effects and transfer effects and usage differences. And we also have context effects. And context effects are referring to characteristics of our participants, characteristics of our facilitators. Is it a haptic game? Is it an online game? All sorts of things like that. But we have a tendency in discussions to really focus about, we're measuring and evaluating the learning, which is why I put that in orange. So that's what the measurement tends to be about. But there's also the when.
Oh, it'll come back on in a moment. If you just hold on a moment, Beth.
Okay.
They just, they just changed. Right, go.
Okay. Then we also have the when and the whys of the measurement. And the when is, well, we're in relation to simulation games, well, there's really 3 points in the wins. You can measure it before, you can measure during, and you can measure after. And that led me to, well, make this image, because in the before, we've got, well, the pretest aspect. And, well, in the before, we have the briefing, which really tends to be about, details about the game itself. And the pretest, which is really, more about, the knowledge and things, that skills that the students have on board before they take part in that simulation game. And they kind of exist, at least in my world, they tend to exist separately. When we get to the simulation game itself, then we have the formative assessments in-game logs, things like that, that are occurring at the same time as the simulation game is going on. And so those are occurring at the same time, so they're overlapping. That's why I've got the two circles overlapping. Now, in the debriefing phase, we've got the post-test, and at least again, this is entirely in my world, since I was making the image myself, I actually have them overlapping and can actually do them simultaneously. So that's why I made it all in one circle. They can also be separated out, but I get them and do them right on top of each other. That's why I did it this way. So as for the whys, why do we measure and evaluate our games? I'm throwing that out there to y'all. I know why I do it.
Well, when I evaluate, it's often because the university wants the feedback from the students, and I need to know what the students feel they've learned. So for me, it's about a cycle of having the students tell me what they believe they've learned.
Yeah, I have some of my colleagues measure and evaluate because they're doing it because, well, we're required to assess because AACSB says you gotta assess. And so they find it's a simulation games are a great way to gather assessment data for AACSB. And it makes them happy to do it with them. So, fine, so be it. But that's not the only reason. There are other reasons. I'm going to start calling on names that I know.
You can do it.
Hey, Willie, why do you measure and assess? Because I know you do it.
Well, I'm especially interested in long-term effects. So for me, it is really something different from the debriefing. I understand why you put it together in that picture. But for me, it is the game has some goals and some purposes, and I want to find out if they are met or at least somehow influenced, hopefully by the gaming that we do. Mm-hmm. I'm interested what are the differences between using different game formats. So that I think that connects with Marieke's other ideas, maybe to see if an online game or a haptic game or whatever, or if gaming at all is better than another kind of method that we could use. So I'm really interested in the empirical research of different effects and methods. But especially I'm also interested, I'm a game designer as well. So I'm interested in it because I want to optimize, to have a further development and maybe change of the game, of the simulation model, or to change how the game is facilitated in order to make it a better learning experience.
So could I summarize that at least a little bit to say that you are doing it to learn about learning?
Yeah, yes, that's okay. But
I know there's a lot more to it, but yeah.
I see it more also from the perspective of the designer of the game, and also to evaluate or to have formative evaluation assessment also, for example, in the phase of the game design. So the whole picture here tends for me to be a little bit focused on the application of the game, but not what is before the application, not so much what is after the application.
Oh yeah, I know. I knew this was a very simplified little picture when I did it.
No, that's fine.
It's a good summary.
Yeah, it was intended to be
But as soon as we talk too
very
early,
simplified.
it gets complicated, which is what happens with all evaluation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to add at this point in time is and I have a lot of history, obviously. Okay, the first games I played, well, first of all, reference, I've only dealt in basically business games historically, and from a U.S. perspective. And at the beginning, and using a very old game that occurred in early 1970, you used the word profit, and that was the only vision of learning. Did you make a profit, and how much profit? And in fact, in many of the games I have observed as well as used, that was a one number event, one dimension. And as time passed, as we got beginning to learn a little bit about what we were doing, it moved from a single variable, which we thought at the time anyway, that's largely business oriented. But as we've moved through time, we've known that it's not only profit, but a lot of other things are involved, market share maybe, and other issues, and even the fact of the profit with the change in the U.S. laws, that it's no longer profit at the moment, simply because it's has a lot to do with how CEOs and people are paid, because they're not paid with profit. They're paid based upon a variety of issues, and it's getting more multidimensional. And if you're talking about learning, it is clearly, as just noticed on the slide a moment ago, is a multidimensional configuration. And that becomes very difficult to optimize. I remember, again, in the early days, you posted profit by firm on a bulletin board. And so you stressed the only variable you had, which was what's the profit, and that was considered the winner. That resulted in a paper a long time ago of profit to false profit. What's going on, and that's not the only thing that was going on. And so it's interesting to take a look at, from a long-term perspective, of what in the past has happened. In Billy's case, we want to look at what's happening in the future. Whether are you learning something that you will use in the future? And that's a very interesting a focus in terms of trying to measure what may happen, and you have to forecast and do it after the fact. In many cases, 5 to 10 years after.
Back to you, Beth.
Okay. Well, at this point, we had planned to talk about the concept map from that Marika had sent, which involved doing with the smiley game.
Okay, Elena, have you got the link for the second Padlet? I have to go and do a bit of search.
Yeah.
If you could put it, there it is. If you could put it in the chat room.
Yeah, I will put it.
Yes, please.
Hang on.
So, okay, it's in the chat. Beth, you want to give the instructions or would you like me to?
I'll let you do it.
Okay. So what Marika planned here was to ask everybody to take part in a short game and to try and have a look at some of the ways in which in this short game and our experience of it, we could look at issues of evaluation. So the topic for the game is leadership. So what we'd like you to do in that Padlet that Alina's given you the link to is use the white, make sure your notes are white, and just put up what do you think leadership is. And in a few minutes, we'll ask you to play a short game. And once we've had the game and done some work on the evaluation, some assessment questions and things, we're going to ask you to rethink what you think about leadership as a result of the experience and then put up a second set. Yeah, so just a minute or two to put your notes in the Padlet.
Elizabeth, could you please repeat those instructions? I have heard them, but I want to understand them better.
On the Padlet, so I gave you a lot of instructions, but this is the first one. On the Padlet, what we would like you to do is to do your response to the question, what is leadership? So what do you think leadership is? And perhaps put one note per response item. So if you think leadership is about telling people what to do, that might be one note. But then you'd make it a separate note if you say that you think leadership is about pulling a team together. So just put some notes up on the Padlet.
Do I need to enter it in the white or the purple, etc.?
You use the white note. So when you click on the button, it'll probably come up just as a white note. So that should be okay. Dr. Aditya and where are you? Dr. Dubey, I need to be the co-host or I need you to be ready to put people into the breakout rooms, whichever suits you.
Okay, ma'am.
So let's have a look. I can see some people putting a few notes up in the Padlet. Yes, that's good. Aha. I like not getting lost in the weeds too much. That's really nice. Okay, Beth, have we got enough responses up there, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for all that. Now, we're about to assign you to rooms. We will give you some instructions before you go, and then we will also visit you.
Okay.
For the team's information, Dr. Aditya, how many rooms are there? Can you see those? I think I made 4.
I'll drop into some of the breakout rooms.
Oh, Dr. Dubey.
Please wait.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Family is working out, so just wait a minute or two.
I'm sorry, your sound was breaking up over here. It's coming a long way. What did you say again?
Today, sir is working on the breakout rooms. Just wait for a minute or two.
Okay, but I set them up and then they all disappeared.
Elizabeth, in the moment, there are no breakout rooms option available
Yes,
for
that's
this
for
session.
us.
But I think that they are working on it.
Yeah, but well, when I came in,
I am working on the breakout rooms. Please give me 2 minutes. Because I am also not able to see the breakout rooms. So I am asking my technical team
Only the co-hosts can see the breakout rooms. And when we came in, I was a co-host and I set up the breakout rooms and assigned people to them. And then when the hosting was changed, I lost that. So we'll just have to wait.
So, Dr. Lee, I will make you the host.
I'm already a host, and I see 5 rooms. 5, not 9.
No, that's 5 was enough. But are people assigned to them or not?
No.
No.
I don't.
You will assign us to the rooms, or do we need to go there?
Elena, delete 2 rooms.
2.
And then just randomly assign everybody, and then, because it'll take too long to do anything else.
So we have 3 rooms, and I will assign
Everybody. Just randomly assign everyone.
Okay.
But we first have to know what we should do in the breakout.
Yes. Okay. Oh, yes. Thank you, Willie. I'm sorry. The technology got terribly in the way.
By the way, that's a good example of leadership then.
I'll ask you later which bit. Okay. The task is quite simple. We're going to visit you and give you an instruction, which will involve asking you to select a smiley face from among all the smiley faces in the chat box. And then we will ask you to work out how you are going to describe that smiley face to everyone else so that they can guess which one you are talking about. So it's as simple as that. So when you go to the chat room, you will see there are smiley faces there. We will assign you there. Your team, first of all, has to decide which smiley face you're going to use. Then you have to decide how you're going to describe it. And then we will ask you to come back and to do that description. And while you're doing that, we will go and do some visiting and have some conversations with you.
I have one question to you, Elizabeth. Should we put all the smileys right now to the chat?
No, I'm sorry. Wasn't such a good example of leadership, Willie. I stuffed up. We'll let them choose their own. So each team chooses their own. We won't assign them. So we don't have to assign any smiley faces. We will ask people to choose their own smiley face.
So shall I put all?
How do we go to the rooms?
So assign people to the rooms. They can have a couple of minutes conversation. We will cluster back in the main room. So if you assign us and we go to a breakout room, Beth and Dick and you and I can come back to the main room, and then we'll huddle and then we'll go back. In the meantime, people can discuss the task for a little while, which is also about, well, it's obviously how are you leading in a difficult and unclear situation, which is what we're doing now.
The smile.
Do rooms. Yes, Mark.
Where are the rooms? We can't see the rooms. I can't see the rooms, at least on my page. How do I get to go there?
I will assign you.
Elaine's going to do it now.
Thank you.
And the smiley is an emoji.
When there is confusion, send people to talk. So rooms, Elena.
Okay.
The smiley is an emoji.
Yes, the emojis.
Yeah.
You'll find them in the chat.
So we have, how many participants do we have? 25, 3 rooms, 8 people per room. Okay.
Yeah. Well, remember there's 4 of us.
Okay.
All that work and it just disappeared. So if you so it's just open all rooms. Is it working, Elena?
Yeah, I'm in the process.
Oh, you've got to assign, haven't you? Because,
Yeah. Shall I
okay,
proceed?
I won't touch it. You do the work. I did it once and it disappeared, so I won't do it again.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
How many alternatives do I have? I mean, among how many? Choose one.
Well, if you click on the chat, so I'll do this while Elena's doing the assignment. Click on the chat and it pops up. At the top right-hand side, where it's, well, on the top left-hand side, it says 2 and there's a blue box and probably says everyone on your screen. Then there's a little icon, which means file or paper. Then there's the smiley face, and then there are 3 dots. If you click on the smiley face, you will have all the emojis. And they pop up and sit alongside. So can everybody see all the emojis if you do follow my instructions? Good, Marcus can. Dr. Dar, Upinder Dar, can you see the smileys when you click on that?
Yeah, all are not visible.
All are not visible.
Yeah, I see. Elena is inviting me to join room 3.
But we can now go into the room.
So go into the rooms, please. So accept the invitations and go into the rooms. And gives them a chance to talk. I set up all the rooms. When I came in, I was host. I went in, I assigned everybody to rooms. And obviously when they did that changeover, when it said stop recording, it lost it all. And I didn't go and have a look. Oh, well, I did actually. I went and said, can you make me the co-host again? Because I thought I'd have time to do it again. But it just disappeared. Now,
we have 1, 2, 3 participants that didn't accept the invitation.
They may be Madhu Thakur, director. The director SVIT is the university IT, so that's our backroom IT support.
Okay.
So he's probably just sitting there waiting. Dr. Dubé is also at the university, so I'm not sure why he hasn't accepted. Roy, we all know he maybe moved away from the camera, from the screen for a while. And Madhu and Thakur and Anshul, I don't know. So I'm really
I am the host, that's why I am not accepting the invitation.
You do not wish to, or you haven't been able to?
No, I am the host.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, we might. I'm really sorry. It just threw me when I went to open the rooms and there was nothing there. So, of course, then I said, pick your own face instead of remembering that we were going to assign until Elena asked. So, Elena, if you go to, what room did I assign you? 1 and 2 or something?
All 3.
Well, there's only, how many rooms are there now?
3. There are 3 rooms.
All right. Well, if you go to room 1 and I go to room 2 and Beth goes to room 3.
Okay.
And we
can.
And did you want to go to a room? Oh, yes. Oh, Beth, can you go to a room? I can because I've got the icon.
I can go to any one of them.
Right. Okay. No, that's fine. You can. And Elena, you can because we're unassigned. So unless you want now, Elena, do I have to assign you or can you choose?
I think that I can choose.
Right. You can choose. Beth can choose. Dick, shall we leave you in the main space?
That's fine.
Okay. And I'll go to room 3.
We go to the rooms and...
So where am I going?
Here, room 2 for you, Joan. Joan. Elizabeth. Beth, yes, for room 2 for you, 1 for Elena, 2 for you, 3 for me. Or we can do it the other way around.
That's fine.
So we encourage participants, okay?
So we just encourage, check that they understand the instructions, apologize on my part profusely, and just see what's happening with the leadership. Because if it's about leadership, how would we evaluate? For me, it's suddenly been, how would we evaluate the leadership of this, a VUCA situation? It was volatile. It was all of them all at once. So,
well, and one of the things that, because we were going to talk about formative assessment, we were going to break that wall and ask them if they were actually doing a game.
Okay.
Like this game with, where they were actually being, the facilitator.
Okay.
What kind of questions would they ask students to, at this point, to get them to assess their understanding of leadership?
Okay, so I have just realized that I can't go. I'm like Dr. Dubé. As a host, I can't go. Elena, I can send you to room 1. So I'm doing that.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth.
Dick, I'm going to send you to room 2 because I can send you to room 2 so you can go and see how they're going.
Okay.
Okay, and room 2.
Actually, send Dick to room 3, please.
Oh, I've just sent him to room 2.
Actually, here, I'm going to move him to room 3.
I can do it.
I already did it. I already did it.
Okay. And then are you going to move yourself off? No, he's back. Dick, you're back.
Okay, send him to 3.
No, he's gone.
Oh, he's in room 3.
Yeah, they just come back into the main room before they go out again. It's like fairies. One of my kindergarten kids. Now, do you want me to assign you, or you can go yourself?
Oh, I can send myself.
Right, off you go.
So I'm going to go to 2. The reason I wanted it that way is because Willie.
That's fine. Go. That's fine. No reasoning later, but that was a good call. And I'll stay here. And Dr. Roy, are you there? Dr. Roy is not there. Dr. Dubé, are you there?
Yes.
So I will ask you the question that Beth was saying we're going to ask the others. What kind of questions would you be asking your participants if they were participating in this experience right now?
Just click on the link. And one person clicks on.
Oh, I'm sorry, your sound is very distant. Yes. So we are recording live and I should talk for a while.
Okay.
That's better.
A question for me.
Yes, so the question for you was, if you were running this session and we've had a couple of problems, what questions would you ask your participants about this experience? So how would you help them learn from this experience right now? I can't hear you. Maybe your microphone's not working.
My answer is: would you like our session, and what is your learning experience for this session?
So what is your learning experience? Okay, that would, for me, that would be a really good beginning question. Once they began, what kind of answers do you think they might have from that? What kind of answers might you imagine they would give? Or let me reverse the question. What kind of experience are you having? Please say it's confusing, because it is, not intentionally so.
Okay.
We ran into a couple of problems that we had not anticipated, and then I made a mistake. So am I right to assume that you would say confusion?
Yes.
Right. So if you said to me confusion, and you have, then I think if I was talking to my students about this, I would ask them, what is the root? Where are the bases of the confusion? What are all the things that might be causing you to feel confusion?
Okay.
So what would you list in your list? So would it be fair to say that things were running fairly smoothly and then they stopped running smoothly? Quite abruptly? Is that one cause of the confusion, do you think?
No, I think it may be I am not listening to the session. That is the reason of confusion.
Okay. Then that is also part of it. If you are simply monitoring it because you are part of the university's support team, and then suddenly I ask you questions, the questions are going to be about things that you haven't necessarily needed to be part of. So that will certainly add to the confusion. I think other causes for confusion would be that the presenting team had to make some changes in front of everyone because of things happening that we had not anticipated. And that then means that we are confused and we look confused, and we have to stop the nice orderly progression and rethink what it was that we needed to do. So all of those things would cause confusion. So my next question then would be, if this happens in a real life situation, what are the things that you, as somebody who's suddenly present in that situation, perhaps do in order to help understand for yourself, or perhaps to help other people? So what would you do if this was a real world situation and you walked in and you could see everyone was confused? What would be one of the early things you would do?
Okay. Try to find out the root cause of that confusion.
So you'd ask questions. Yes. What is the cause of the confusion? Yes, and yet I know that when I ask students that, often that's a really positive and active thing to do. But students, and my students are all adults returning to learning, so they've come from the workplace. They will not think about doing that. So they wait for some kind of direction, whereas you are being proactive, and I'm about to be proactive as well. Because I need to send a message to the breakout rooms to say, we hope you are having a good discussion. And I have to spell discussion properly. My spelling is never good when I do this. We hope you're having a good discussion.
I'm already here, Elizabeth.
Oh, Elena, okay. Then how long before do you think we should close the rooms?
Yeah. I think because my group has done the task they choose.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
so
that they're ready. They are ready to
Okay.
describe their smiling.
So I've sent a message out, and now I'm just going to close all the rooms, so they will have 60 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, so what kind of discussion were there? Here they come.
They choose the smiley and they will describe it. Did I understand?
Yeah, that's fine.
Correct. Okay. There were no problems because participants are experienced enough.
Yes. I feel like I was taking a nice horse ride through a very gentle meadow, and the horse was behaving perfectly, and we were all going along nicely. And then suddenly something jumped up and startled the horse, and it's bolted. And I don't know which way we're going. So you were in room 1, Elena?
Yeah.
And Dick, you went to room 3, I think, is that right? And Beth has room 2. Right. Okay. Now, changing horses in midstream. What I'd like to do is room 1. If you would like to describe your emoji, everybody needs to have their chat open. And you can open your emojis, and as soon as you see the emoji that you think room 1 is describing, click on it, and then it will go to your chat, and then hit return, and we will see. And the people in room 1 can say whether the message is correct or not. So room 1, who is speaking for room 1?
Is it us?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we feel a little slightly uncomfortable because we can't really see into the person. Communication's a little bit cut off a little bit.
Yes, I totally agree, David.
You want, okay, more clues maybe?
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the person looks cool.
Marcus. What?
Marcus, please unmute yourself.
Marcus, give your...
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. It seems our emoji that makes us a little bit shy because we can't see her eyes. It may be out, walking in the sun on a beautiful beach.
Are people guessing and clicking and putting it in the chat? I've put my guess in the chat.
One more thing.
Yes.
The person looks cool.
Bingo.
The person looks cool.
So, Elizabeth, you got it.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I shall try not to guess room 2. So thank you. We'll go right round all 3 rooms. So who would like to describe the emoji for room 2? On behalf of room 2. What one did you choose?
Are we from room 2, if I'm not wrong?
Yes. So you need to describe it without telling us. So click on the emoji.
So it is a gesture that we usually use when we try to pray or we bow before somebody.
Oh, that's a really good clue. Okay. Is somebody going to find it and put it in the chat?
Should I repeat?
Yes, please. I can't hear clearly.
Yeah, Elizabeth, can you say, because Aditi's sound is rather like in
Okay, so Aditi said it is a gesture that we use when we are praying or welcoming somebody whom we revere.
We are bowing before somebody.
We are bowing before somebody with this gesture.
A gesture for greeting someone.
Ah, okay, a gesture for greeting someone.
Yeah.
a way.
So
Is it a way?
Oh, well, if it is, put it in the chat and see if you get it right.
I can't find the way here.
You've got to scroll down a bit.
Yeah, it's correct.
I
Congratulations.
got it there, yeah. Avinash, is that it?
So put it in the chat. Oh, is that one in?
They
Avinash
are already
just
in the
put
chat.
it,
Yes.
and Marcus put
It
it,
is?
yeah.
Right. Okay. Oh, yes, they all came up at once. Sorry, I didn't see it. Thank you. And okay, so Avinash, well, Marcus and Avinash were both there. Okay, thank you. Now, group 3. Who will speak for group 3? Beth, who is in group 3 with you? Do you want to ask somebody to do the describing? You're in group 2.
Who was in group 3?
Who was in group 3? We had group 3. Who was in group 3?
Well, I think there's a misunderstanding. So we already presented. Our namaste was group 3.
Your namaste was group 3.
But I think we left out group 2. Group 2.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Say something.
I thought I was doing them in order. Then group 2. No wonder you were so silent. Thank you. So group 2, would you describe your emoji, please? Somebody in group 2?
Elizabeth, would you like to speak out? Or you want me to?
No, it shouldn't be Elizabeth.
Okay,
It
okay.
should be you. You go. So
Well,
describe.
I have selected the emoji joy.
Ah.
So we have to be very optimistic of whatever we are doing. It will bring us joy. A hope.
Wow.
We have to be hopeful.
Okay, so Veronica, were you in group 2 or group? No, so what emoji do you think it is, Veronica?
Sorry, well, I tried to send it, but unfortunately, I don't know if it works. I don't have chat, so I'm copy pasting from my Facebook.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, tell us which.
But yeah, I send my, that's what I think about joy and enjoyment, being optimistic, like they know, celebrating face.
Optimistic and celebrating.
Yeah.
Okay. Group 2 is optimistic and celebrating the right face. Group 2. I can't see who is in group 2 with you, Beth. So we need to move on. So I'll ask you, Beth, would you say that Veronica's suggestion of optimistic and celebrating would be the right choice? You're on mute. Beth?
Yes.
That's okay.
David's got it. David's got it.
Right. Okay. So, thank you. Now, in all that confusion, there was a great deal of leadership. Some of it didn't look terribly pretty, but when we went to the rooms, we could see that you had already settled into doing the task. That's an indication of leadership. I wonder if that's part of what you put in the Padlet with regard to leadership. So what we'd like to do now is to take you back to the Padlet, the same one that Elena has put in the chat before. I'll put it in again. And now we'd like you to add in purple on the same Padlet any additional comments about leadership. And then we will look at how you might have, how this process might measure your learning. So I've put the chat in there. Put the link in the chat. So to change your note to purple, you create a note and you go down to the bottom of the note. Well, and you can see a little note at the bottom where it says white, and you just change it to purple. Just click on the color. Yes, Miyoko. That's lovely. Some more. Elena, we need to check what time we should be finishing. I wasn't watching the time.
We have about 23 minutes. We have.
Good, okay.
For the whole session.
Yes, right. So, I like the way somebody has worked out how to join messages. So somebody has joined with Miyoko and said, joint leadership works wonders. Dealing with the unexpected and being prepared for it. So these are some of the comments for leadership. What we could do is, well, 2 more minutes, I'll stop talking, and please, everybody add at least one note on in purple. So we have some things to compare. There's a lovely comment. So I will put all the white messages together. Look. Have I got all the messages? Oops, not that one. There. And that does something that it shouldn't. Okay. So now that I've arranged them into white and purple, and there's another purple. What I would like to ask people is, what can you see? There's one that's just come in that's white. Should it be purple? Leadership is helping people do their best and work well. David, is that a white one that you want to add, or should it be purple? David?
Elizabeth, there are here at the bottom of the page. Left side.
That white one that I put, that was my original white one.
Right, that's okay. I will leave it there. And you're quite right, Vinod. There are some down the bottom that I haven't gathered, so I'll pull them all up.
And I had one white one, it's disappeared. I don't know what's happened. I think it has been censored.
No, I didn't put the censorship on.
Okay.
So there's nothing down the bottom now, but it might be over to the right.
One of them have come out.
Oh, what happened there? Oh, I see. It went there. Okay. So this one from David goes over here. There's, right. I like leadership is not getting lost in the weeds too often. And that connects with expanding, but being willing. Okay, so, and now I can go that way. So when we look at the whole screen, so maybe if we come back, I will share my screen where I have everything. And we want to talk about the leadership issue quickly, and then we'll talk about how we might evaluate the process. So when you look at that, what do the purple notes tell you in relation to the white notes would be the first question I would ask. Is there a difference? Do they indicate that you've been thinking about leadership differently because we did this process? I need some answers.
I gave my own experience about what I have experienced in the exercise. So the one is the theory and the other part is the practice.
Practice. Lovely. Thank you, Eddie. Exactly. Yes. And I would offer that often happens with our university students, that they think we are looking for the theory, and it takes them a while. Sometimes they will stand back a long time before they will actually say, well, I feel that this is what was happening. So how do we know when they're doing an exercise, are they just giving us the theory they think that we want from them? Or are they talking about the experience, and how do we help them make that connection? Thank you, Willie. That's a great connection. Beth, have you got some comments or questions you'd like to ask? I'm kind of taken over here. I wasn't intending to. But
no, that's all right. Actually, this takes me to actually Marika's in-game intervention response measurement stuff.
Okay, well, I'll stop sharing and you can take us through that.
Okay. So let me find, so I can throw this up real quick.
Mm-hmm. So while Beth's doing that, thank you for everyone for taking part. The Padlet will stay up if people would like to have a look at it later on. And we might add some more comments. Okay, Beth, I'll stop talking.
Well, one of the things that Marika had shared with us was a code book on qualitative coding. And it just struck me just now as Willie was commenting and Liz was commenting about how this applied in relation to first order learning, second order learning, and third order learning, where the first order learning being understanding the gameplay's mechanic and procedures, second order learning knowing when to apply the process, and then third order learning being learning to learn. You know, that, you know, in the very first round, you know, just, you know, in talking about leadership and responding with just, you know, sort of classic definitions. And then in the second part of it, coming back with the experience.
So would you say that Willie's first response, here is a description of a theory of leadership, that would be coded as 1, applying a normal procedure? And then his process answer would be coded 2? and his ability to see the difference or to describe, make those connections would then be coded as 3. Willie, what do you think if we were going to use this?
Yeah, I would say there is some kind of, you can frame it in that way, yes. I see, I don't know, Marieke is not here, but I see it, what is on this slide, a little bit like you probably know from Agiris and others with the single double loop learning and also the third order kind of learning, meta learning. I think that is what she refers to here. And thinking about the exercise, when we first gave definitions, is surely first order learning.
Yeah.
And after the gameplay, the purple cards are of course second order learning, and sometimes maybe have the potential to be a third order learning in my perspective.
Yeah.
And then for me, Willie, I would say that when you described how you connected your first and your second responses, that's, for me, that would be third order learning. And that would be, because so you are seeing the meta level relationships. Yes,
exactly.
Okay, I confess I found this difficult at first, because although I know Argyris, this was applying it in a whole different context for me. So can I just stop and ask, are other people in the room, are they aware of the work of Chris Argyris? Because if you're not, we could do a short detour, but I need to know if that detour is useful for people. So Vinod, Marcus, Mieko, do you know about the work of Chris Argyris?
Well, I'm familiar with it, but not in all details. So if you can briefly expand a little bit, for me, it would, I think, be helpful.
All right.
But I'm just speaking for me.
I've heard of it, that's all.
Good, okay. Well, this will be really quick. But Chris Argyris is one of my heroes because his work helped me to see the difference between just reacting and responding and reflecting. So those would be my 3 words for his 3 levels. So at level 1, what Mieko has called coded 1, he uses the metaphor of an air conditioning element. So it's in the room and we have set it to read to 22 degrees. It reads to 22 degrees, and when it goes above or below that, it switches the air conditioning on or off as is needed. It is just a single loop that just goes round. The second order learning, which a machine at this point cannot yet do, although I am reading a lot of more work in artificial intelligence and people are beginning to claim that it may be possible. But second order thinking is in effect thinking about your own thinking. So to stick with the air conditioning metaphor, if it could say, I'm set to 22, but now there are 50 people in the room, so I might need to bring the temperature down to 21 in order to make it comfortable because there are more warm bodies. Now, an air conditioner can't do that, but we human beings can. But to do that, we have to ask another question. And for the air conditioning metaphor, the question is, what is the right temperature for this room with all these people in it? And the machine can't do that, but we can. So sticking with Willie's example, in his first single loop, he simply wrote, here is the definition of leadership. So it's just a nice loop. When he played and experienced the activity with all the confusion and the difficulties, none of which were intentional, but all of which, when I look back, were probably inevitable, Willie could see that he had to ask a different question. what am I experiencing and how would I describe that experience? That is what Chris Argyris calls, or other people call for him, the question behind the question, or double loop learning. I am now going to ask myself a question that will help me decide what I do with the current situation. Third order learning then is what Willie was doing when he described the difference between his first and second responses. That is, he could look at the first one, look at the second one, and see that there was a relationship between the two of them that was different from either of the two responses. And he could then say, I did this, and then I did this, and now I am seeing that this is a relationship. So that is Chris, in really briefly, that is Chris Argyris's first order, second order, and third order thinking. The reason this is important for us, particularly when we're working with university students or adults in workplaces, is that a lot of our responses, and this then goes to the work of, I forget his name, he's Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Where, yes, him, thank you. The thinking fast is the reactive response. This is the situation I'm in, so I'll do it really quickly and then it's done. And thinking slow is thinking much more about what is it that we need to know and how do we do that. And we need, in the 21st century and in this current environment, lots more people to be asking those kinds of, what can I do in this situation that I have never thought of before? So I'll give you a lovely example that I heard today. Here in Sydney, we are in lockdown. We've been in lockdown for going on 6 weeks, 75 days. So all of our children who can't go to school still need books to read, papers to work with, and so on. So one of our school districts has a bus service, and they have collaborated with the bus service, who knows the route and knows all the children, and the driver goes to the school, collects all the materials, and drives around and delivers all the materials. Now, for me, that is second order thinking. That is, the teachers had a problem and they didn't stop and say, well, we aren't allowed to go home to the home, so we can't do it. What they thought was, we have to find a way that will be safe and COVID responsible and draw on our knowledge and all our safety routines, and they've used the bus service. Now, I don't think many of the school bus systems are doing that, so it's an exception, which is what is often the case for second order thinking. People, we call it thinking outside the box, but I think it's much more than that. It's thinking creatively. And then the third order thinking is, how do we reflect on that and what did we learn from doing it? So in her work, what Marika is doing is using this, and as I begin to understand it now, I think it's brilliant, questions to ask with the, when it comes to the debriefing or the formative questions. What are the questions I need to ask? But then when I listen to the students' answers, at what level are the students answering? Are they just giving me the rote machine answer? Are they giving me an answer that is actually telling me they have thought about it and asked a question about it and they're able to answer it for themselves? Or are they even beginning to give me answers that will help them and that will show me that they are able to make connections between the first and second types of questions and then expand it? And I have never thought of doing this with my students before. And yet I think that if I go and look at my materials, I have been doing some of it. I've just never put this framework over it. So that, to me, that is why her work is so important and why, you know, what she was planning for this workshop tonight. And as you can see, Elizabeth's been moving through the materials. So Elizabeth, do you want to go back up to the first of the 3 slides?
Elizabeth, I think that we don't have enough time.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So are there any other questions? Any other questions? Should I shut up and let somebody else talk? Yes, please.
Just to make sure that I understood this third order thinking, the third order learning cycle of Agiris, with your example of the air conditioner, would that be, for instance, that instead of adjusting the temperature to a new group size, I would think about, do we need an air conditioner at all? Can we go outside? Can we have the interaction at night or whatever?
Yes.
Something like that. Just go really out of the box.
Yes, I think that would, because then the air conditioner is asking questions that are about the whole environment, not just about its part in the environment. To stick with that metaphor, yes. Which, of course, I don't think will have, no matter what people working in artificial intelligence say, I do not think they will have in any meaningful way for a long time. Yeah. So thank you, Marcus. That's a lovely example. Beth, do you want to stop sharing your screen and we can all say goodnight? Because I think some of us will go to the ISAGA meeting next.
I just want to comment that although we did not actually follow them in order, we actually hit on every single one of our slides. I just want to point that out. So, you know, I'm going to stop the share right now. I just thought that was kind of interesting. We did cover it all, just didn't do it in the planned order. Which is in some ways, I think, kind of the best workshops ever when that happens, because, you know, really cool.
So I would like to, sorry, Elizabeth, I would like to add one point to that. You mentioned it was hard for you to facilitate this workshop. As a participant, I found it really agreeable and inspiring to follow your ongoing creation of the sequence of the workshop with all the hurdles you had to take. And in the end, the experience was better. And as Beth, you told it, that all the slides were covered in the end. No, so the job is done.
Thank you, Marcus. I used to work with a colleague whom I liked very much, and he and I and another person were preparing for another workshop, and the third person was very anxious because things didn't seem to be going right, and it was a mess, and my very good colleague turned to the third person and said, look, it's actually okay. Elizabeth has reached her requisite level of chaos. Things will go well from here. And I feel I've done it again. It wasn't my intention. So thank you. I do enjoy navigating through chaos. I want to help people see that it's not scary. But it does take a lot of courage sometimes to get there. So thank you for being part of it. And please check out Marika's work, because even working with it tonight, I've learned heaps of stuff. So that was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Lots of wonderful, wonderful material.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, and good night. And we shall see you at the annual general meeting in a few minutes. I can see the link is in the revised workbook.
On behalf of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, I would like to thank all the resource persons, and I wish you all the success in your all future endeavors. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Aditi. It was lovely to have you with us. Thank you.
I think
Great
we are
seeing
having
you
link
all
in the
again.
chat box.
What was that?
Link in the chat box. Link for assembly.
I'm sorry, say that again.
What about the link for going to assembly? Is it in the chat box?
I shall put it in the chat box now.
It's in the updated schedule.
And I'll put it in the chat as well. There you go. So it's in the chat. Oh, Marcus beat me to it. Okay, that's in the chat. We shall see you there now soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elena.
Thank you.
Great to work with you.
Thank you.
Nick, you can go to bed now.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Good
Thank you
night,
very
all.
much. Good night. Good night, Beth. Now you can have a
Good
good
night.
sleep. Good night, Dr. Aditi.
Elizabeth, when are we talking?
Good night. Wonderful talking with you.
Well, this is recording. I can stop recording.
No, not now. Elizabeth, can we talk tomorrow?
Yes,
Yes.
that's fine.
You can call me anytime you want tomorrow.
Okay.
Of course, we
Okay.
have a program after the program, perhaps.
Okay.
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 We
Thank
can
you.
do that.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thanks to all. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, Joan. Lovely to see you.